In a time when men held power and wars were won by swords, one woman defied all expectations. Jael, a lone woman in a man's world, would do the impossible, killing the greatest general of her enemy and changing the course of history in one shocking act. The sun had set on a day stained with blood. Israel was weary, its people beaten down by the ruthless armies of King Jabin of Canaan. The commander of his forces, Sisera, was a man whose cruelty was unmatched, a general so feared that the very mention of his name sent shivers down the spines of men. After years of battle, Sisera's army was on the verge of crushing the last remnants of Israelite resistance. His forces had already breached many towns, leaving a trail of fire and destruction. And now, as night fell, he sought refuge in a small village, the last bastion of the Israelites' hopes. But within that village, there was one woman who would not cower, one woman who had been waiting for this moment her entire life. Jael, the wife of Heber the Canaanite, was no warrior. She had no battle skills or training, but her heart was filled with an anger that had simmered for years. Her husband had made an alliance with King Jabin, but Jael had long since turned against him, weary of the oppression and suffering inflicted upon her people. When Sisera entered her tent that evening, his body bruised and exhausted from the day's fighting, he saw only a woman humble and meek. She offered him warmth, water, and a quiet refuge. Sisera lay down on her bed, his breath slow, his eyes drooping with exhaustion. He trusted her, and in his trust, he underestimated her. Jael moved quietly, her movements precise, her breath steady. She glanced toward the tent flap where Sisera slept, oblivious of the fate awaiting him. The firelight cast long shadows, flickering across her face, revealing the cold determination in her eyes. She walked to the corner of the tent, where a hammer and a large iron tent peg lay. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of what she was about to do. Her heart beat faster now, but she didn't falter. Slowly, silently, she lifted the hammer and walked back to where Sisera lay, snoring softly. The tent was quiet, too quiet, the air thick with the tension of the moment. Jael's breath quickened as she knelt beside him, her grip tightening around the handle of the hammer. In the stillness of the night, as the stars above witnessed the unspoken war between fate and free will, Jael brought the hammer down onto the sharp edge of the peg, driving it with precision through Sisera's temple. The sound was deafening in the silence, a sickening, hollow thud as the metal tore through flesh and bone. Sisera's body jerked, but it was already too late. His blood soaked into the earth as Jael stood over him, her heart pounding, her face calm yet resolute. In one swift, shocking moment, Jael had done what armies of men had failed to do for years. Sisera, the feared general, the bringer of death, was no more. Jael stood motionless, her hands still clutching the hammer. The night felt heavy around her, the weight of what she had just done sinking in. But in the distance, a cry rose. Barak, the Israelite leader, had come searching for Sisera. His soldiers had swept through the surrounding area, but they could not find the general. Jael met Barak outside her tent, the bloodied hammer in her hand, her face impassive. She didn't need words. Her actions had spoken louder than any battle cry could. "I'll show you the man you're looking for," she said softly. "The man who brought death to Israel lies here." Barak followed her into the tent, his eyes widening as he saw Sisera's lifeless body, the tent peg still embedded in his skull. A woman, with her quiet strength and resolve, had done what men could not. She had saved Israel in a way no one could have predicted. Jael did not rise to power. She did not seek glory or fame. She was a woman who saw injustice and acted in the only way she knew how. Sometimes, the greatest victories do not come from the strongest or the most obvious, but from a quiet, underestimated soul who is willing to take the final, deadly step. In one night, Jael had sealed her place in history, not as a warrior, but as a hero.